The moment Samuel L. Jackson walked onto the set, the applause was loud, but not comfortable. There was something tight about the room. Like everyone knew this was supposed to be a light-hearted segment, and no one believed that was actually going to happen. Samuel nodded once to the crowd. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. His presence alone said everything. Don't waste my time. The hosts opened politely. Whoopi Goldberg went first, her tone easy. Samuel, welcome back. You've done everything, film, activism, even Broadway. What brings you to us today? He leaned forward, calm and clear. I was told this was about truth. That pause landed hard, and Joy Behar jumped in too quickly. Well then let's tell some, she said, grinning. Let's talk about why you think America is so broken when you've done pretty well here. The crowd shifted. Samuel didn't move. He just looked at her and said, without flinching, you think success cancels reality? You think I can't speak on injustice because I bought a house? That quiet hit deeper than any outburst. Because everyone knew, this wasn't going to be a safe conversation. It was going to be a reckoning. Joy Behar tried to recover with a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. No, Samuel, I'm just saying, sometimes people who make it big forget what it's like down here. Samuel didn't blink. Down here? You're on television every day shaping how people think. Don't pretend like you're on the ground floor. Whoopi leaned in. Let's be fair. We bring people on from all sides. We talk about the tough stuff. Samuel's voice didn't rise. It dropped. You talk around it. You frame it. Soften it. Make sure it won't get you pulled from the sponsors list. Joy's smile disappeared. That's not true. Samuel leaned forward. Then why do I have producers asking me not to use certain words before I even sit down? Why do you invite guests like me and then act surprised when I don't stick to the script? The audience didn't clap. They didn't shift. They watched. Because what Samuel was saying didn't sound like a guest being dramatic. It sounded like someone done pretending. Sonny Hostin stepped in carefully. Samuel, if there's something you want to say it. We're not here to censor you. Samuel turned his gaze toward her. Calm, controlled, but unshakable. You're not censoring me, he said. You're packaging me, wrapping me up in just enough outrage to make the segment trend, but not enough truth to make anyone uncomfortable. Joy Behar crossed her arms. So now we're the enemy? Samuel shook his head. No, you're the distraction. That line didn't echo. It sank. Whoopi tried again. You think this show doesn't make a difference? Samuel's voice dropped lower. I think this show makes noise. There's a difference. The crowd stayed still. No one reached for their phones. No one laughed. Because they all understood what was happening now. Samuel L. Jackson wasn't having a disagreement. He was dismantling the table. Joy Behar's voice sharpened. You think you're better than this show? Than this audience? Samuel didn't blink. I think I'm tired of pretending your outrage is courage. It's not. Whoopi folded her hands, measured now. So what would you rather see? Silence. Samuel looked at her directly. No, I'd rather see honesty. Not performance. Not applause lines. Just truth, even when it's ugly. Joy interrupted. That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who gets called every name in the book just for having an opinion. Samuel's voice didn't change. You get called names. People out there get buried. That one hit. Hard. Sonny Hostin looked down at her note cards, then quietly set them aside. Because even she could feel it now. This wasn't about a segment anymore. It was about every moment this table asked for truth and only accepted it when it came dressed up to match the decor. Samuel L. Jackson sat back in his chair, but the energy around him stayed tense. Still, unblinking. He wasn't backing off. He was letting the silence say what the script wouldn't. Joy Behar exhaled. So what, Samuel? You want to burn the whole thing down? You want to cancel every show that doesn't agree with you? He looked at her, calm as ever. I don't want to cancel anything. I want people to stop confusing comfort with truth. The audience didn't cheer. They listened. Samuel went on. You call it real talk, but only when it's soft enough to keep the lights on. The second someone says something too raw, too loud, too black, too poor, too angry, you cut to break. Whoopi's voice was barely above a whisper. That's not fair. No, Samuel said. What's not fair is pretending this is bold when it's curated. What's not fair is calling this representation when it's just rotation. The air in the studio was heavy now. Not with drama, with recognition. Whoopi Goldberg leaned forward, her voice lower now. You came here knowing what this table was. So why come at all? Samuel L. Jackson didn't hesitate. Because sometimes you walk into the fire to remind people it's real. Not to win, not to perform, just to stop pretending. Joy Behar looked down, shaking her head slightly. You act like we're the ones causing the damage. Samuel answered without raising his voice. You're not the cause, but you've become the cover. The polite face of a system that only tells one kind of story. Sunny Hostin tried to soften the moment. We try to bring balance. Samuel turned to her. Balance isn't inviting someone to disagree if you've already decided they're wrong before they speak. The audience was silent. No one clapped. No one looked away. Because everyone understood, whether they wanted to or not. This wasn't an actor delivering a line. This was a man telling the truth where it was least welcome. Samuel L. Jackson stood up. Not to leave in protest. Not to storm off. He stood like someone done asking for permission to speak. The table stayed silent. The producers didn't move. The crew didn't signal a break. Because they all knew this moment wasn't in the rundown. Samuel looked around the room once, then spoke quietly. I've spent my whole life playing roles. But this one, this seat, this space where truth is tolerated only when it flatters the script. He shook his head. I'm done with this bullsh**T. No applause. Just stillness. Joy Behar tried to jump in. Wait. But he was already turning toward the crowd. You don't have to agree with me, he said. But don't lie to yourselves about what this is. Don't confuse a spotlight for a platform. Don't confuse talk for truth. And with that, Samuel L. Jackson walked off the set. No wave. No closing joke. No looking back. The camera didn't cut fast enough to save the show. Because in every home where that episode aired, people saw what it looked like when someone finally said what nobody else would. Not because it was popular, but because it was time. The hosts sat frozen, each one holding a silence they didn't know how to fill. Joy Behar stared down at the table. Whoopi Goldberg exhaled slowly, her face blank. Even Sunny Hostin, always composed, looked stunned. No one reached for a new question. No one tried to steer the show back to schedule. Because Samuel L. Jackson hadn't just walked out. He had left a mirror behind. And everyone at the table was still staring into it, wondering how much of what he said would stick, and how much they'd try to forget. In the control room, a producer whispered to cut to commercial, but no one moved fast enough. The camera stayed on the empty chair for just a second too long. Long enough for people watching to feel it. The absence. The shift. The truth that didn't need a mic to echo. Across social media, clips were already spreading. Not the outburst. Not the headline. The quiet. The moment the show's mask cracked, and no one behind it had anything left to say. By that evening, Samuel L. Jackson's words were everywhere. And The View? The View was still trying to figure out how to pretend none of it happened. But the audience remembered. Because truth said out loud has a weight. And once it drops, you can't pick it back up.